Just came out of the supermarket. Oops. Just came out of the supermarket and I had a bad experience. I was supposed to shop and get food for the dogs. Instead, I forgot. Because I was kind of nervous as I was walking around. And I did other shopping. I forgot to buy the things that I was supposed to buy. Oh my goodness. There was a guy in the front, like, he was doing, like, probably in his 60s, and what was he doing? He was doing the Dogs Trust, or some, like, insurance or something, talking about the Dogs Trust. And so as I walked in, he was talking to a young lady. He was arguing, kind of, well, she was arguing, and I thought, let me listen, what was she saying? Because I'm quite nosy. And she was saying, like, we're all murderers. Like, you people who eat meat are murderers. She was saying, I'm a vegan. You know, it's not right that we enslave the animals. And I thought, okay. I felt that she was bullying him, right? And so I thought, let me say something. And that got me into the argument. And at the end of it, like, I was kicking myself and thinking, why? Why did I bloody get involved? Why did I get involved? Like, then she started arguing with me. You know, nothing to do with me. So basically, what started the argument was, like, I said to her, I said, you know, what you say is right, but you tend to think that this, you know, the animal kingdom is something benign. I said, don't you know that you know, cannibalism, you know, incest, rape, things like that happen in the animal world, you know? And she said, well, aren't we above that? I said, are you saying that we're superior? She said, no, we're not. You just said we're above that. You know, we should know better. And I said, that kind of implies a kind of superiority. Well, no. And then I said, the only thing that's stopping your cat from ripping your head off and killing you is size. What I was trying to say is, animals don't give a shit. They don't have the same, they have no qualms of killing an animal and just leaving it. They don't, because she was saying, oh, animals kill for need, you know, to feed their, you know, their family or whatever. I said, that's not true. You can have a pack of dogs that, or even one dog, two dogs that kill a cat for pleasure. They're not going to eat it. How many times does a cat bring back home a bird or a mouse and rips its head off and doesn't even eat it? It's doing it for pleasure, right? If you, like, you take a spider and you know, there's a dead fly and you throw it inside, it's just been squashed, freshly squashed. You throw it onto the web, it won't eat it, it will get rid of it. It wants something that's alive so it can kill it and then roll it around and then suck its juices later on. And animals will do this. They will kill an animal whilst it's still alive, eat it. So, I was just saying, do you think that, you know, the animal kingdom is some benign, you know, environment? It's very brutal, it's very ugly, vicious, aggressive, you know. And she wasn't having any of it, and that's how we argued. So when I went inside, I was all nervous. I shook her hand. I said, yeah, you're right about many things, but, you know, there is nuance. It's not black and white, you know, like saying that we're all murderers. You know, she said, would you go out and kill the animals yourself? And I said, honestly, no, I would find it difficult, but if there was no choice, I would. You know, and I said, I used to be a vegan. I tried to be a vegan. Why did you leave? Is this as if it's some kind of religion? Why did you leave veganism? Because I tried it, and it can work, but for some people it doesn't work. I've got histamine intolerance, SIFO, gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance. I can't eat a vegan diet. Processed vegan food is even worse. So she said, well, you're an anomaly, you're rare. And I said, I'm not that rare, you know. I didn't even get into the idea, the theme that if it wasn't for meat, you wouldn't be around. Neither would I. And the sad thing is, I agreed with a lot of the things that she was saying. You know, the guy was saying, I was trying to defend her. The guy was saying something, and I said, I stopped him and I said, actually, when I was a vegan, I used to think this way. You become more kind of spiritual. You love the animals, and then once I started eating meat again, I didn't care anymore. So you are what you eat. I was trying to kind of agree with her, trying to not make her lose face. Anyway, she left. Then I said, look, sorry, I was just trying to protect you. You know, like, I didn't want her to bully you. He goes, no, she wasn't bullying me. I said it didn't look like it. And he said, thank you very much, you know. And so I went inside, and there was a couple from Essex. It sounded cockney, but they were from Essex. And they said, what was that all about? And they shook my hand and said, yeah, we was standing there, and we were eager to listen to the argument. And they goes, yeah, we agree with what you say. All these, and they were talking about they were saying, we come from Essex, we don't agree with all this trans, all this lefty stuff, woke stuff, and veganism. And I said, well, to be honest, I was a vegan before. You know, a lot of the stuff that people on the left say is valid, you know. But she was trying to judge people who eat meat, you know. You shouldn't do that, you know. It becomes like a bloody religion. So the bloke was saying, like, the couple, and they had a young child, they were saying, yeah, if she wants to be vegan, that's up to her. Why do you have to shout and then tell everyone else that they're murderers? So another customer told the security guard, because I spoke to the security guard, and he said, yeah, somebody told me that two people are arguing. And I said, no, I'm really sorry about that, I shouldn't have got involved. And I said, I wasn't shouting or anything, it's not just an argument. Yeah, but usually when I go to the supermarket, it's nice. And what happened was, I weren't shouting or anything, but there was an argument. And then like, I ended up forgetting what I was supposed to buy. I was supposed to get chicken drumsticks, and I ended up spending 63 quid. Now I haven't got enough money to buy the chicken, so I'm gonna have to go tomorrow with a cool head. And but you know, she was a young woman, you know, one of these, was just fresh out of university, and no respect for that old guy. Well, he's in his 60s for that bloke, you know. And you know, saying that we're murderers and it's to do with slavery and all those woke talking points. Bloody hell! I wish I never got involved. You know, it was not my fight or my argument, but I just felt she was bullying him, and I said I was a vegan myself. She said, why did you leave? It's like a bloody religion. Bloody hell. I said, because it wasn't working for me. You know, I tried, it wasn't working. It's just like you do the carnivore diet and it doesn't work. You end up feeling sick. Why did you leave? There's all like cults and religions. Bloody hell. It doesn't have to be like that, you know. You know, I wish I could be a vegan, because you get fed up sometimes just eating meat and veg. You know, you might have a day where you just eat veg, but the vegetables that you're allowed to eat, or you can eat without having any problems, very few. The list is just a few things. So cleaners, they're all there. So I'll keep these doggies in here. Get down, babies. I can't see what I'm doing. There's a car. Yeah, so there's my story of what happened at the supermarket today. The thing is, I just wanted to have a conversation, but then you get all worked up. You start getting nervous, and I was nervous for the whole bloody, only for a few minutes, and then for my whole shop, I was like zzz, like that, and I was thinking what to buy, and I bought all the things for myself. I didn't buy anything for the dogs. Bloody hell! So I'm gonna have to go again tomorrow. I'm not going now in this state, all nervous. I shouldn't have any discussions or arguments like that whilst I'm coming off medication, because I don't know. I don't want to get sucked into any arguments, because I'll lose control and then say things like, yeah, if the only thing that's stopping your cat from ripping your head off is size. That's a bit. But she was aggressive to that old man, saying we're all murderers, and don't you know about the slavery and the pain caused? And I said, I was listening, and I was thinking, yeah, she is right. She's not wrong, I'm annoyed with myself that I try to defend that man, and I end up getting in trouble. She ends up bullying me, because that guy was quite calm. He was saying, like, afterwards he said to me, yeah, people like this, they're all, into these progressive ideas. I was thinking, oh bloody hell, it's not only me that thinks like this. So he said veganism is one of them, especially ethical veganism. But I said to him, the thing is, I've been a vegan and I know what it's like. You do feel different once you stop eating meat, and you start feeling sorry for animals and caring more. I do understand that. But he was saying she doesn't see another person's point of view, those who want to eat some meat, a little bit of meat, or a lot of, or whatever, She's very judgmental. And I said, yeah, that is what happens when you go vegan. I was just trying to explain. This is what happens. You have a care for animals because you're not eating them anymore. And people who don't, you feel are involved in the killing of animals, of course, because you have to kill the animal. But then if you think about it, plants have to feel pain as well. You're discriminating between one unaliving and another unaliving. What's the difference? Then you come to the thing, they're all sentient beings. They might not have a nervous system or, neurological system, just like animals. But because, that thing doesn't have a face, it still is alive. And I don't know. Do plants feel? Yeah, they do feel. Some say they don't feel, but they react when you. I mean, the difference is you can cut leaves off a plant and it will still remain alive. You can eat the flowers of plants without killing the actual plant. But if you kill the root, then if you eat the root, like a potato, those kind of, carrots, then you kill the whole plant, right? So there are ways around it where you can actually live without causing suffering or killing, shall we say, killing a sentient being. Yeah, I know, plants are not sentient beings. Sentiency or sentient being means something that feels. So you have to have the argument, do plants feel? Well, maybe they do. They probably don't want to be killed, right? It's just that they are, it's just that they're closer, they're closer to us. Anyway, see you guys in the next video. I have to go now. Take care. Bye.